President Joe Biden made a surprise visit to Kyiv, Ukraine, to, of course, show his support for the Ukrainian people, meet with Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and discuss the ways in which the United States will continue to support Ukraine in their effort of defending themselves against the Russian invasion. And this is impactful. The United States president, again, surprise visit. This couldn't be publicized before it actually happened, making a visit to a war zone, essentially. I mean, not essentially, a war zone, which is absolutely an impactful message to send worldwide and specifically to Russia. But take a look at this being reported from CNN.
Good morning, everyone. We do begin with breaking news this morning. President Biden makes a surprise visit to Ukraine. I'm Poppy Harlow in New York, here with Sarah Seidner. Caitlin Collins is live in Warsaw, Poland, where the president will be shortly. Don has the day off. And here is what we know right now on a very significant moment on the world stage. President Biden met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy during this unannounced trip. It comes just days before the one-year mark of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. This moment is highly significant this morning. Biden sending a strong message of support to Ukrainians as air raid sirens wailed across Kyiv, underscoring the very real risk involved in this trip. Both leaders spoke a moment ago about the weight of this historic moment.
President Biden, that is so important signal for us, and all we are proud of it. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. President.
It's good to be back in Kyiv. I was telling the president, one of my...
And then Biden continued on to share his supportive words, as you can imagine, as well. But for the sake of time, we will skip past that. So then one of the questions that has to be asked is, how is this pulled off? It had to be secretive, as I mentioned, and what was the behind the scenes of that? And CNN writes with the title, "A Secret Until the Last Minute." Quote, "This is so much larger than just Ukraine. It's about freedom of democracy in Europe. It's about freedom and democracy at large," he said, his blue and yellow tie an overt nod to his Ukrainian hosts. Keeping Biden's plans secret required extraordinary measures on the part of the White House. In the weeks leading up to Biden's travel, he and top aides repeatedly shot down the possibility of a trip to Ukraine. Every effort was made to maintain that position in the hour leading up to Biden's surprise arrival in Kyiv. That was in part due to the fluid nature of the trip itself. Even as a small circle of White House officials looped in on the planning grew confident it was an achievable undertaking, the realities of sending a president into a war zone where the U.S. had no control over the airspace were daunting. Absolutely. And I'm glad this took place. I think partly the timing at least works out, if it wasn't planned this way, around kind of the increased criticism from those within the United States, within our political reality, and within Washington about the support that the United States has been giving. And this is as strong of a signal, as strong of a symbol as you can give as the U.S. president actually showing up there to give your support. And so hopefully this might move the needle and re-motivate much of the American population, but more specifically the American political leaders into continuing in the support of Ukraine and defending themselves. So important for what that means for Ukraine. And as we've discussed a lot, what that means as far as global ramifications moving forward. And this will have an impact, setting the precedent that the United States and other powerful countries will step in and support countries that are being invaded in a situation like this. That is so crucially important. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.